If you are an African in the diaspora, this message is for you. You've thought about investing back home. Maybe not seriously, but the idea keeps returning. Every headline tells you Africa is risky. Very few explain where opportunity is quietly forming. This video is not about fear. It is about preparation. You look at the numbers, you see the population growth, you see the rising cost of living. You see the headlines about global food insecurity. The conclusion seems obvious. People must eat. Therefore, investing in food must be safe. So, you begin to think about buying land. You think about seeds. You think about harvest. This is where you make the first and most dangerous mistake. You are assuming that to invest in food, you must be a farmer. That assumption is the reason most diaspora capital vanishes in the soil within 3 years. I want to speak directly to you about the reality of the African agricultural sector. Not the brochure version, but the operational reality. Currently, you likely believe that the path to wealth in the food sector is production. You believe that owning acres of land and growing maize, cassava, or cashew nuts is the asset. You believe that because the soil is fertile and labor is affordable, profit is inevitable. What is actually happening is a disconnect between production and the market. The continent does not struggle as much with growing food as it struggles with moving, storing, and selling it. By the end of this video, I want to move you away from the romantic idea of farming and toward the strategic reality of agribusiness. You will learn a framework that prioritizes control over hope. You will learn why the tractor is often a worse investment than the warehouse. And you will learn why the safest place for your money is not in the ground, but in the chain that moves the harvest to the plate. We are going to dismantle the remote farmer model because for 90% of you watching this, it is a trap. I understand why the land calls to you. For many of us, land is not just an asset, it is heritage. You may have memories of visiting a grandparent's farm. You remember the abundance. You remember the fresh taste of fruit that has no chemical aftertaste. You remember the simplicity. There is a deep emotional pull to own a piece of the earth back home. It feels permanent. Stocks fluctuate, crypto crashes, currencies devalue, but land remains. There is also the pressure of doing good. You want to create jobs. You want to feed your community. You feel that by planting crops, you are contributing to the development of your nation. But this emotion creates a blind spot. You feel stuck because you have probably tried, or you know someone who has tried, and it failed. Maybe you sent money to a cousin to manage a poultry farm, and the chickens mysteriously died. Maybe you bought 10 acres, cleared the bush, planted, and then realized you had no road to get the truck to the farm when the rains came. You hesitate now because you don't trust the people on the ground. You think the problem is theft. You think the problem is dishonesty. While those are real issues, they are not the root cause of the failure. The root cause is that you are trying to manage a biological process, nature, from thousands of miles away without an industrial structure. You feel stuck because you are trying to use a traditional model in a modern economic environment. You are trying to be a village farmer with diaspora expectations of efficiency. Let us look at the current reality of the African food sector calmly. Africa holds 60% of the world's uncultivated arable land. This is the statistic everyone quotes. It is true, but it is only half the story. The reality is that Africa spends over $35 billion annually importing food. Why? If we have the land, why are we importing? Because of what happens after the harvest. In many African nations, post-harvest losses range from 30% to 50%. This means that for every 10 tomatoes grown, up to 5 rot before they ever reach a consumer who pays for them. The roads are difficult. Electricity for cold storage is expensive or inconsistent. Processing facilities are scarce. Currently, the market is flooded with raw material during the harvest season. When everyone harvests maize at the same time, the price crashes. If you are a farmer selling raw maize then, you lose money. 3 months later, there is a scarcity and the price triples. But you have already sold or your crop has spoiled. The business reality right now is that the value is not in the growing. The value is in the time. Whoever can keep food fresh for 3 months wins. Whoever can turn a perishable tomato into a shelf-stable paste wins. The sector is shifting. We are seeing a rise in supermarkets and urban demand. The middle class in Lagos, Nairobi, Accra, and Kigali does not want a sack of dirty tubers. They want cleaned, packaged, convenient food. The opportunity is moving away from the farm gate and toward the city gate. Let me tell you a story. It is a composite of many conversations I have had, but let's focus on a man we will call David. David lives in London. He works in IT. He is disciplined, analytical, and has saved £40,000. He decides to invest in watermelon farming in his home country. The math looks perfect on Excel. He buys 15 acres of land. It's cheap. He pays for clearing. He installs a basic irrigation system. He hires a manager he trusts, a distant relative with agricultural experience. For 4 months, everything goes according to the spreadsheet. The photos on WhatsApp are beautiful. Green vines, swelling fruit. David is excited. He calculates his return on investment. He is already planning the second cycle. Then, harvest week arrives. David has 15 acres of ripe watermelons. Thousands of them. Nature does not wait. They must be picked now. But David is in London. His manager calls. The truck broke down. David sends money for the truck. 2 days later, the truck arrives, but the roads are washed out from a heavy rain. The truck gets stuck. By the time the fruit reaches the city market, 4 days late, David realizes something he hadn't put in his spreadsheet. Everyone else harvested watermelons this week too. The market is flooded. The market women offer him a price that is 60% lower than his projection. He refuses to sell at a loss. He tells the manager to wait. The watermelons sit in the sun. They begin to soften. Now he must sell. He sells for pennies just to cover the transport. David lost 70% of his capital. Now consider a different woman, Sarah. Sarah lives in New York. She has the same budget. She did not buy land. She did not plant a single seed. Sarah bought a used refrigerated truck and rented a small warehouse near the city market. She went to farmers like David during the harvest glut. She bought their produce when they were desperate to sell at a low price. She moved it to her cold storage. She held it for 6 weeks. When the market dried up, she released the produce. Sarah did not pray for rain. She did not fight pests. She simply solved the problem of time and waste. Sarah made the profit that David thought he was working for. To avoid David's fate, you must adopt a new framework. I call this the value chain ladder. You must stop looking at the bottom rung, production, and look higher up. Ask yourself 3 questions before you spend $1. 1. Who is the specific buyer? Not the market. A specific person or company. A supermarket chain? A boarding school? A juice factory? If you don't have a contract or a verified buyer, you are gambling, not investing. 2. What is the shelf life of my investment? If your investment rots in 48 hours, your risk is catastrophic. If your investment lasts for 2 years, like dried grains, processed flour, or nuts, your risk is managed. 3. What problem am I solving? Are you solving a scarcity of production? Probably not. You are likely solving a problem of logistics, quality consistency, or packaging. The framework is simple. Don't start with the soil. Start with the problem. If you cannot visit the farm every week, do not own the farm. Instead, own the truck, the warehouse, the processing machine, or the brand. Take a moment. Does David's story sound familiar? Have you ever received that phone call about a sudden issue with the farm that required urgent cash? Or have you been browsing land listings, feeling that urge to own physical earth? It is uncomfortable to admit that our desire to be farmers is often more about ego or emotion than business. We want to point to the land and say, "That is mine." Pointing to a warehouse or a contract isn't as romantic. But you are here to build wealth and security, not just stories. If this is resonating with you, or if you are currently debating between buying land or starting a business, keep this in mind as we move to the practical steps. So, how do you execute this? What not to do? Do not start with fresh fruits or vegetables if you are remote. Tomatoes, leafy greens, watermelons, peppers. These are high-risk, high-maintenance crops. They require daily supervision and immediate logistics. If you are in the diaspora, you cannot manage this speed. Do not buy land in a remote area just because it is cheap. Cheap land usually means expensive logistics. If the road destroys your profit margin, the free land was too expensive. Do not rely on family members who are not professionals. Love does not equal competence. Farming is a scientific business. It requires an agronomist, not an uncle who knows the village. What to do? 1. Invest in dry agriculture. If you must farm, choose crops that do not rot immediately. Cashews, cocoa, timber, maize, if you have drying facilities, soybeans. These give you a window of time to sell. Time is your insurance. 2. Focus on aggregation. Be the person who buys from 10 small farmers, checks the quality, packages it properly, and sells to the city. You take the margin of the middleman, but you also take the risk of marketing off the farmer. This is a vital service. 3. Look at simple processing. This is where the real safe investment lies. Turning cassava into gari or flour, turning peanuts into peanut butter, turning fruit into dried snacks. When you process food, you increase its value, and crucially, you increase its lifespan. You stop fighting the clock. 4. Test small. Do not send $50,000 at once. Run one cycle. Buy 1 ton of ginger, dry it, and try to export it or sell it locally. See where the bottlenecks are. Lose $500 to learn a lesson, not $50,000. Now, I want to share the insight I promised at the beginning, the shift that changes everything. The mistake we make is thinking that food security comes from nature. We think, I plant, God gives rain, I get food. But in business, profit security comes from control. When you are a farmer, you have almost zero control. You cannot control the rain. You cannot control the pests fully. You cannot control the global price of fertilizer. You cannot control the harvest glut. You are the taker of prices, not the maker of prices. But when you position yourself in processing or logistics, you gain control. You control how much raw material you buy. You control the quality of the packaging. You control the price you sell at because your product is distinct and branded. You control when you sell because your product doesn't rot. The safest investment in food is not the creation of the food. It is the industrialization of the food. If you are in the diaspora, you have an advantage. You understand standards. You understand branding. You understand packaging. You understand export compliance. Why are you trying to compete with the local farmer on digging the soil? He can dig better than you. He is there. Compete where you are strong. Compete in the value addition. Africa does not need more absentee landlords. Africa needs industrialists. It needs people who build the factories, the cold chains, and the export channels that allow the farmers to actually get paid. That is where the wealth is, and that is where your capital is safe. I want you to sit with this thought. Investing in food is noble. It is necessary, but do not let the romance of the village blind you to the mechanics of the market. Your role as a diaspora investor is to bring structure, capital, and vision to the parts of the chain that are broken. Don't just grow it, preserve it, process it, move it. That is how you feed the continent, and that is how you build a legacy that survives the seasons. If this new way of thinking about food investment challenges your plans, good. That means you are thinking. I have a lot more to say about how to structure these types of businesses, but for now, I want you to simply reassess where you are entering the chain. If you found value in this perspective, subscribe to the channel. We are building a community of thinkers, not just spenders. There is another video I want you to watch next. It's about the reality of trusting family with business. You will see it on the screen now. Prepare well. I will see you there.